That's really awesome. What would you say to listeners that are looking at what you've done? Because you pretty much started very similar to a lot of us, but you've just taken it to a totally different level. What would you say the 4 or 5 kind of keys to success, being able to grow? And I call it jump the line, right? A lot of people are trying to jump the line. I call it searching, right? They're in this business, they're searching, they're really not doing, they're searching for, hey, what is it? They're learning, then they're doing, but then they jump the line to leading and reinventing themselves and their business. And that's where it's like the mushroom cloud. What would you say the keys to the success are?
There's a lot there, so mindset is first and foremost, and mindset is something that you have to develop and can be developed. So it starts there with the getting rid of no and I can't, and, acting like you can't fail, acting like you have no fear, just going big and just getting after it and not thinking that you have any limits within reality, right? I'm not going to go play quarterback for the New England Patriots, but when it comes to business and the reality of business, there's no reason why I can't do something that somebody else before me's done. So it's understanding that you really have no limits. Okay, number one, if you do the work and you educate yourself and pour into yourself. So that's first and foremost, is that mindset of belief and confidence that you can go after big goals, and then going after them, taking the action and just doing it. The second thing is developing yourself. So even though I didn't go to college, I am self-educated, and I constantly, to this day, I'm a voracious learner. I'm a seeker of wisdom in everything, in every situation. I pour into myself constantly. I'm always reading, listening to a podcast, watching videos. I'm one of those guys that back in the day, I had the books on tape. So if I'm out exercising or whatever, I'm listening to a tape. Then it was CDs, and then it was the iPod. And I never have music on my iPod, my iTunes. It's always books. It's always self-development, motivational, business stuff. So I'm constantly, every second that I have, I'm pouring into myself. So you have to develop yourself. And what you have to develop yourself is the mindset of greatness. You have to develop yourself as a leader, motivator, delegator, and you have to develop yourself in a technical, for the technical aspects of what you're doing as well. So you can have great thinking and you can be a great leader, but if you have no technical abilities, you're going to struggle. So you still have to be competent in the technical aspects of the business. You have to know your business, know your numbers. So you have to educate yourself there. But those are really the 3 biggest things that you need in order to achieve great things. And this is what I've learned from the billionaires that I learned from. A couple of them are in the $1 billion level, a couple of them are in the $100 million level, or multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. And then this is what I teach people that I'm getting to the $1 billion, $10 billion level, and the $10 million, $100 million level, 1 million to 10 million level. It's all the same stuff. It's just bigger deals, bigger numbers, and it's a bigger reality as you get there. And the biggest thing that I see that holds people back is limiting themselves in terms of leverage. So wanting to do it all themselves, like property management. A lot of people want to go big commercial, and they'll say, well, I want to in-house property management so I can control it. Or as a builder or a remodeling contractor, well, I want to in-house the labor so I can control it. That's actually a mistake that's going to hold you back. It was a mistake that held me back. Once I switched it and started leveraging others, that's when I was able to really grow and scale. And I've done it ever since. And that's how the big guys do it. So it's those things that, that you have to do as you go along. But it's first and foremost, it's all about, once you've fixed yourself, taking care of yourself, then it's others. It's becoming a leader, delegator, motivator, pouring into others, developing others, finding people, helping them realize, finding great people, helping them realize their God-given talents, and then putting them in a position to thrive and letting them do their job and coaching them to success. So at the end of the day, I'm very good at finding champions and coaching them to success. And that's every great team, every great organization. That's where it is right there.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I have a couple of sayings. This did not come from me, but in our business, we say people before profit. We're very focused on nurturing and growing our people because we know that we're unstoppable. It doesn't really matter what the widget is, right? Real estate, it could be really anything, but it does come down to great people. I love what you just said. This is another guy that I'm in a mastermind with. He said, you have to fix yourself as a CEO. You got to fix yourself before you try to fix your business. Yeah. And I love you reinforcing that. I'm going to just throw something at you. Knowing what you know, if you lost everything and had to start with no team, no money, no people, and you were doing it all again, what would you do? Like, what would your next 12 months look like? if you were starting completely from scratch?
You just mean in general, or you mean like from a business standpoint?
From a business standpoint, if you lost everything's got wiped fresh, and you were starting over. The reason I say that is a lot of people that are on this call may not have the resources that you have, and so they get very stuck on having to do everything themselves, right? And trying to, make money out of thin air, and they're doing $5 an hour work and realizing, hey, that's not a best practice, that doesn't scale, and they go nowhere. So I'm asking you the question, like, what would you do knowing what you know, knowing your history and what the keys are to success?
Well, I start every day that way. Like, I'm starting from scratch with nothing. And first it takes, number one, you got to pour into yourself. So you have to develop a skill that has value to others. So whether that's real estate, whether that's a business, or, whatever that is, you've got to, number one, have a skill set. You have to have knowledge that is valuable to others. So, and I've been through that, by the way. So 2009, I lost all my net worth overnight, just like a lot of people did. So I had to reinvent, I had to start over. And, the construction business I had became worthless because there was no work in the market that I was in. So I was one of the largest builders, just like everybody else. We shut down. It wasn't a bankruptcy or anything like that, but it was net worth and it was, liquidity. I had some money in the bank, but I had to reinvent and start over. So that's the first thing. Number one, you've got to find something that's valuable to others. So if you're in the real estate game, one of the easiest ways to start is by wholesaling. It doesn't require cash. It doesn't require, you don't have to spend any money. You can go driving for dollars. You can talk to people. You can go to networking meetings, events, and I don't mean just real estate networking meetings. I go anywhere and just let people know what you do. Hey, I'm looking for, real estate. I buy, all kinds of properties, land, commercial, residential, whatever it is. I'm looking for property, and just make sure people know what you're doing or what it is you're trying to do. And if you're working a full-time job, you can do this after hours. You can look in Craigslist. You can look on Zillow. You can go to For Sale by Owners. You can do driving for dollars, and you can look them up. There's free apps like True People where you can look up and find somebody's phone number for free and call them up. And you just call them up and just say, hey, this is Greg. I was driving by your house. I was wondering if you'd be interested in selling. I'm an investor. I buy houses, fix them up, and sell them just like they do on HGTV. And would love to, just interested if you were looking to sell your house. And then you just let them talk, and you go through the whole process. It's about relationships. You get to know them. But anyways, if I had to start over, it would be in real estate. It would be wholesaling. That's the easiest thing to do. In business, the easiest thing to do right now in business, anybody can go out and make $100,000 a year right now with no money out of the gate by doing some sort of a service business that other people don't want to do, whether it's painting, whether it's cutting grass, whether it's walking dogs. You have Uber now, you have, Grubhub. So there's a lot of things that you can do to go out and make extra money that you can ultimately reinvest in something else and grow and scale it. So the barrier to entry to start your own business is very low right now, where it used to be you had to set up and get a business license and do all these different things. Like when I started out, I had to go register a corporation, I had to get a business license, I had to get contractors licenses, you have to get real estate licenses. Right now you can literally go out and knock on doors, which is how I started. Literally, as an adult, when I started my company, knocking on doors. Hey, I do remodeling, painting, handyman stuff. What do you need done? You have Craigslist now. You have all these gig sites now where you can do just handyman work. If you're an expert in a field, you can get paid to do consulting. You can run errands for people. There's just all kinds of things you can do now in this new gig economy that wasn't there when I was coming up. So if I had to start all over again, I would find something that I could do that's of value to others. And I would do as much of it as I can with every minute that I can, and build cash, and then grow and scale that business.
Yeah, that's great. It's incredibly, incredibly rich. One word that just came out for me is that I see is it's taking action. It's the tenacity. I also, one thing that we haven't really talked about, but the vision of where you're heading. I would imagine that everything that you do is having a vision with some clarity of like where I'm going versus just starting to run. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. You have to have vision. Where there is no vision, the people will perish, right? So you have to begin with the end in mind. So if you're starting over and your goal is, man, I have to make $10,000 a month, then that's your vision. You've got to put that down on paper. And if I can paint houses and I can make, $1,000 per job, I need 10 of those jobs a month. So I need to knock on 100 doors to get 10 jobs that are going to pay me $1,000 to make $10,000 a month. So it's literally that simple, but yet it's that powerful that if you have that vision of what it is you want to do, and there's this painting company. So literally when I say vision and I say painting company, I literally see myself at the door knocking, talking to Mr. Jones about painting his house. And then I see myself there with the brush painting the house in the truck with Greg on the side of it, call for painting. I mean, so that's what it takes to visualize a company. And it can be that simple. I need to make $10,000 this month. How am I going to do it? You visualize that. But, you know, you can sit in your chair all day long and visualize, you know, like there's that whole manifest your destiny, right? And The Secret. Well, even the guys that did The Secret will tell you, look, the secret to The Secret is once you visualize this, you have to actually go out in the world and knock on doors and make it happen. And I say knock on doors a lot because I don't care what industry you're in, you have to knock on doors. You have to talk to people, call them, email them, whatever. You have to connect with people to create opportunity.